So, ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, I'm Shuaib Abdullah, and I'm the host for today. I'm hosting him on my program. The main concept of this hosting, I stand for Millata Ibrahima, that is the creed of Prophet Abraham. This is what I stand for. I represent a Muslim. Just like God is asking, woman ask. Yeah, God, just like God is asking, woman yargabu an millata Ibrahima illa man safiha nafsahu. I represent the creed of Abraham. I'm a Muslim. I don't belong to any sect, first of all. And I am of the belief that the Quran is sufficient for our religion. God never gave us any other book except the Quran. So whatever lectures I do is based on the Quran, right? So now, Baba Alhamdu, in other words, saw my lectures, one of my videos. So now, the interest of the main part of this dialogue is that he is trying to tell me that it's not possible for me to follow the Quran alone without the Hadith. So now I'm giving him the chance to come today to disprove me. So as you all know, you already know me. So I'm giving Baba Alhamdu the chance to introduce himself now.
Good. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Just a moment. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you, our viewers. My name is Ahmad Rufai, or you can say Ahmadur Rufai, but I'm popularly known as Baba Alhamdulillah. As a matter of fact, I'm not a teacher, neither am I a scholar. If you have to classify or put me into a stage or a class in which I belong in the Arabic school, I would say I'm now in the nursery, not yet in the kindergarten. But I came across the video of this brother, Babs Bush, I think some 5 days or so ago, and I was like, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. I really have some questions for this brother, because I believe there is no way one can understand the true religion of Islam without following the real teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we agreed to come to have a dialogue, as he puts it, not a debate, a dialogue. And that's why we are here. To begin with, I'm going to let him try to bring some points again, which I heard him make, you know, but for the benefit of the doubt, some of you might have not heard him. So I want him to repeat those points which makes him believe that he can be a true Muslim without any hadith. That's why we're going to hold this dialogue, and I'm going to put some questions to him to clarify indeed whether one can practice this Islam of ours without hadith. Tafaddal, ya akhi.
Now, so, as you all know, I represent the Quran. I follow the Quran alone, right? Now, first of all, the Prophet himself, alayhi salam, is the one who received the Quran. And he's a prophet and a messenger at the same time, right? So to begin with all this, if I take you to Surah Al-Ahzab, chapter 33, verse 40 of the Quran, let's see the stance of Prophet Muhammad first. He says, ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين وكان الله بكل شيء عليما. Now, what God is trying to emphasize in this verse here is to actually tell us the stance of Muhammad, because God actually sent Muhammad as a messenger and as a prophet. So if we try to understand the stance of Muhammad based on the one who sent him, then we can actually know what is the duty of Muhammad here. So Surah Al-Ahzab, the verse I just read, is in chapter 33, verse 40. It says, Muhammad is not the father of anyone among your men, but a messenger of God and the seal of the prophets. And God is aware of all things. Right? So God is never asleep. So which means Muhammad is acting as a messenger and as a prophet. So now, I'm going to show you the qualities of Muhammad as a messenger and as a prophet, what he was commanded to follow. Remember, now, since Muhammad being the messenger and a prophet at the same time, before I move to that evidence, right now, when you go to chapter 4 of the Quran, verse 174, listen very carefully, ladies and gentlemen. Chapter 4, verse 174. And please, ladies and gentlemen, whoever has the Quran with him can take it and cross-check as we are doing it live. Chapter 4, verse 174. It says what? Ya ayyuhan nas, qad ja'akum burhanun min rabbikum wa anzalna ilaykum nuran mubina. What is God trying to emphasize here? God is saying, oh you mankind. When we say An-Nas is Jami'an, every living human being. You are An-Nas. O you mankind, a proof, Burhan, a proof has come to you from your Lord. And we have revealed to you a clear light. A clear light. So whoever claims to be a human being, God has given you the Quran as your Burhan, a proof. So far as you are a human being, that is the proof God has given you. Apart from that, this same Quran we are talking about, that God is talking as a Burhan for mankind. Chapter 2, verse 185, Surah Al-Baqarah. God says, Sharu Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran hudan linnas wa bayyinat min al-huda wal-furqan. I'm not fulfilling all the verse. I'm just showing the qualities on why the Quran was revealed to us as human beings. Now, God is saying the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed as guidance for mankind, not for the Arabs, not for anybody, but for mankind. And this same book is to serve as the word Burhan for mankind. So ladies and gentlemen, as I'm sitting here right now, the only proof God has given me as a human being is the Quran as my guidance and a Burhan and the proof. So I'm going to use this same book to give the evidences today, inshallah. So I've already told you the stance of Muhammad as a prophet and as a messenger. Now, what did Muhammad actually follow, alayhi salam? What did he follow? Let's see the command God gave him as a prophet. Surah Al-Ahzab, chapter 33, verse 1 to verse 3. It says, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, taqillaha wala titil kafirina wal munafiqina. Then it says, Inna Allah kana aliman hakima. Then it goes, verse 2. Wattabi ma yuha ilayka min rabbik. Inna Allah kana bima ta'maluna khabira. Then verse 3. Watawakkal ala Allahi wa kafa billahi wakila. What does these verses mean? Now, God is telling the prophet, oh you prophet, is talking to the prophet. Reference God, that is fear God in terms of respect, not fear like you are running away. Then he says, and do not obey the disbelievers, the kafirs. And then what? The munafiqeen, the hypocrites. And then he says, indeed, God is what? Omniscient and wise. Now verse 2, this is the interesting part. God says, and follow what has been inspired to you from your Lord. He didn't say you should do anything else. Follow what has been inspired to you, because the one who chose you as a prophet is the one going to tell you what to do.
Right.
So since he has been asked to follow what he has been inspired, God says, Inna Allah kana bima ta'maluna khabira. Whatever you do, God is aware of it, is cognizant of it. Now, it goes to verse 3. Then he says, Watawakkal ala Allah, and rely upon your God, that is God. Rely upon Allah, that is God. Then he says what? Wakafa billahi wakila, and God is sufficient as a representative, your wakil. Now this is the prophet we just read, what he was asked to follow, the inspiration, not his hawa. the inspiration. Now, when we move on again, chapter 6, verse 106, Surah Al-An'am, chapter 6, verse 106, further tells him, ittabi ma uhiya ilayka min rabbik, la ilaha illa huwa, wa arid anil mushrikeen. Follow what has been revealed to you from your Lord. Follow what has been inspired to you from your Lord, because the inspiration is the revelation he got. Now, God tells him there is no God except what? Allah, huwa. We know one God. Yes. Just like it says in Surah Al-Ikhlas. Kul huwa Allahu ahad. Now, then it says, wa'arid anil mushrikeen. And he says what? And turn away or avoid what? The what? Polytheists, the mushriks. Avoid them. Right? Yes. There are people who associate partners with God. Yes. Which God never gave them authority, according to chapter 30, verse 35. Now, apart from this, we have seen the prophet as a prophet being commanded to follow the inspiration. Right. Now, as a messenger, chapter 46, verse 9, Surah Al-Ahqaf, chapter 46, verse 9. Let's see again how he was commanded as a messenger, what he was commanded to follow. Now, when you go to chapter 46, verse 9, Surah Al-Ahqaf, it says, Qul ma kuntu bid'an min ar-rusul wa ma adri ma yuf'alu bi wala bikum in attabi'u illa ma yuha ilayya wa ma ana illa nazirun mubin. He was asked to say as a messenger, I am not the original, or I am not original of the messengers, which means he is not better than the messengers God has sent. He says, neither do I know what will be done to me, nor to you, the people. Then he says, I only follow what is inspired to me, which means Muhammad doesn't follow any other thing except what God inspires to him. So he says, for I am only a clear warner, which means he was sent by God to act on a command. Now, we have seen that Muhammad has been commanded as a prophet to follow the inspiration, as a messenger to follow the inspiration. Now let's see what Muhammad himself said concerning the guidance of God. Chapter 34, verse 50, Surah Al-Saba. Chapter 34, verse 50. Let's see what Muhammad alayhi salam himself said. Why we need the guidance of God, the Quran. He says, Kul in dalaltu fa innama adillu ala nafsi. Wa inni tadaitu. Then he says, Fabima yuhi ilayya rabbi innahu samiul qarib. Then he says, say, if I should go astray, if I should err, if I should make mistake, if I should do anything wrong, then I will only do it against my soul. فَإِنَّمَا أَدِلُّ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ. The mistake will only be upon him. Maybe he did it from his own conscience, not from the wahi again. Now, but he says what? But if I am guided, وَإِنِي تَدَيْتُ. If he is guided, then it is by what his Lord. Then he says, it is by what my Lord inspires to me. Then he says, indeed, he is hearing and nearby, which means Muhammad himself cannot guide himself unless God guides him. So he is following the guidance of God. The only guidance God gave us as a human being is the Quran. That's why he tells you, Shahru Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-Quran hudan lin-nas. Muhammad is also a human being. He's also an insan. Good. Now that we have seen that Muhammad was commanded as a messenger and as a prophet to follow the guidance of God, whoever wants to know that Muhammad himself told the people to follow the Quran, the guidance, go to chapter 3, verse 73 and chapter 6, verse 71. Muhammad himself told the people, Innal huda hudallah. Then he tells you again, Innal hudallah huwal huda. He told you himself. Now, after seeing all this evidence, now let's see, God sent him as a prophet to the believers. What did God tell him? So I take you to chapter 33, verse 45 to 48. Chapter 33, verse 45 to 48, Surah Al-Ahzab. Let's see what God told him as a prophet. He says, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, inna arsalnaka shahidan wa mubashiran wa nazira. Then he says, وَدَاءِيَ إِلَى اللَّهِ بِإِذْنِهِ وَسِرَاجًا مُنِيرًا. Then he says what? وَبَشِّرْ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ بِأَنَّ لَهُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ فَضْلًا كَبِيرًا. What does the verses mean? It says, "O you prophet, indeed we have sent you as a witness, a missionary, and a warner." Then he says what? As well as an inviter to God, not inviter to his Sunnah, inviter to God, Allah, by what? By God's permission. Then he says, as an illuminating lamp, because he represents a lamp for the believers. Now, verse 47 says, "So give good news to the believers, because they have a great favor from God." And who are the true believers, ladies and gentlemen? If you want to know who we call believers, go to chapter 8, verse 2 to verse 4, Surah Al-Anfal. Go and see who God terms as the true believers. Who are they? He says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الْحَقُّ لَهُمْ دَرَجَاتٍ عِندَ رَبِّهِمْ وَمَغْفِرَةٍ وَرِزْقًا كَرِيمٍ. He says the believers are only those, listening carefully. Innama means only. The believers are only those whom, when God is mentioned, their hearts are fearful. And when his verses, not the verses of Bukhari, not the verses of Sahih Muslim, not the verses of any story, when the verses of God are recited to them, they increase in iman, faith, and they rely on their Lord, just like Muhammad was told to rely on God. وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا. So believers likewise also rely on God for anything. Now, verse 3 says, "The ones who establish prayer, and from what we have provided them, they disperse," which means they spend in the way of God. Verse 4 says what? Those are the true believers. Those are the true believers. So, classification of a true believer in the words of God, you don't need to follow Sahih Bukhari.
Yeah.
You don't need to follow any other thing. Any scholar in the world who tell you you need to follow anything apart from the Quran, wallahi, is a liar to you. Before you become a true believer, you need to follow just as God has described true believers here. Then he says, "For them are degrees at their Lord, as well as forgiveness and generous sustenance." Now that we have seen that Muhammad as a prophet followed the inspiration of God, and then he followed as a messenger, he followed the inspiration of God. Now, when he came to the people to warn us, according to chapter 6, verse 19, this is what Muhammad himself, alayhi salam, said. Surah Al-An'am, chapter 6, verse 19. In the verse when you go, it says, "Qul ayyu shay'in akbar shahadat." Then he says, "Qulillah shahidu bayni wa baynakum wa uhiya ilayya hadha al-Qur'an li'inzirakum bihi wa man balag." Muhammad himself is telling you that the Quran has been inspired to him to warn you by it and whomever it may reach. He himself has been inspired to warn you with the Quran and whomever it may reach. He didn't say he was inspired with any hadith or anything else. Only the Quran. Now let's see Muhammad himself again. What he used to inspire, what he was given. Which book was he given to come to the people? Now, chapter 28, verse 85. Chapter 28, verse 85. It said, إِنَّ الَّذِي فَرَضَ عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ لَرَدُّكَ إِلَى مَعَدٍ قُلْ رَبِّي أَعْلَمُ مَنْ جَاءَ بِالْهُدَى وَمَنْ هُوَ فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. Indeed, the one who obligated the Quran upon you, listen carefully, nothing else was obligated on Muhammad except the Quran. No scholar on earth can bring one verse in the Quran where God says he obligated any other book or any other sayings apart from the Quran. So now, the one who obligated the Quran on you will bring you back to a place of return. Then he says, "Kul Rabbi alamu man jaa bil huda." God knows one who comes with the guidance. And when we say al-huda, it means the guidance. There is adat al-tarif on it, a definite article. Al-huda, Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know what is the guidance, go to chapter 45, verse 11. Suratul Jathiyah. Then you go to verse 11, where it tells you what? Haza hudan. If you say you are looking for guidance, God gave you the Quran as hudan linnas. Now he's telling you, Haza hudan. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مِّن رِجْسٍ أَلِيمٍ. Now, if Muhammad as a role model only follows the word of God, which is the Quran. Now,
yes. To not, just like we spoke on phone earlier, to not consume the whole time on one person, I would advise you to try to wrap up within the next 3 minutes for me to come in, and then you can continue. I think that will do our viewers a lot of good. Thank you very much.
No problem. So now, chapter 17, to make this interesting, I take you to, I've finished with chapter 28, verse 85, where it says the Quran was obligated upon Muhammad, right? Now, this is the only obligation he has, that is the Quran. Now, Muhammad himself, according to chapter 6, verse 19, he told you, وَأُوهِيَ إِلَيَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِأُنْزِرَكُمْ بِهِ وَمَنْ بَلَغَ. It was the Quran which is inspired to him to warn the people by it, nothing else. It is the same Quran which was inspired to him to remind the people with it, according to chapter 50, verse 45, where God tells him, فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مَنْ يَخَافُ وَإِيدٍ. Chapter 50, verse 45. God says he should use the Quran to remind the people with it, whoever fears the threat of God. Now, similarly, Muhammad himself in chapter 27, verse 92, chapter 27, verse 92, Suratul Namal, he himself says, وَأَنْ أَتْلُ الْقُرْآنِ. He is being commanded to recite the Quran, not anything else. He to recite the Quran. Now, Muhammad himself says, وَأَنْ أَتْلُ الْقُرْآنِ. And if you want to understand the verse that is talking to Muhammad himself, start from verse 91, chapter 27, verse 91. He himself said what? He says, إِنَّمَا أُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَعْبُدَ رَبَّ هَذِهِ الْبَلْدَةِ الَّذِي حَرَّمَهَا وَلَوْ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ. Then he says what? وَأُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Here tells you that Muhammad was only commanded to be a Muslim, not Ahl Sunnah, not Shia, not Tariqah. He was only commanded to be a Muslim. Then he says, وَأَنْ أَتْلُ الْقُرْآنِ. And he was commanded to recite the Quran, nothing else. Nothing else. Then he says what? فَمَنِ اتَّدَى فَإِنَّمَا يَعْتَدِي لِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ ضَلَّ فَقُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُنْزِرِينَ. Now, to top it all, before I give him the chance to talk, I take you to chapter 17, verse 45 to verse 46. Look at the book which Muhammad was asked to read to the people. Chapter 17, verse 45 to verse 46, Suratul Isra'il. It says, وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. Then he says what? وَجَعَلْنَا عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ أَكِنَّةً أَنْ يَفْقَهُوهُ وَفِي آذَانِهِمْ وَقْرًا وَإِذَا ذَكَرْتَ رَبَّكَ فِي الْقُرْآنِ وَحْدَهُ وَلَّوْا عَلَى أَدْبَارِهِمْ نُفُورًا. What does the verses mean? It means, and whenever you, Muhammad, Qarata is a second person pronoun, is talking to Muhammad. Whenever you read the Quran, Al-Quran, Adatul Tarif, Ja'alna baynaka wa bayna allazina. Whenever you read the Quran, we place a concealed partition between you and those who do not believe in the hereafter. Verse 46. And we place coverings over their hearts, lest they comprehend it, and deafness in their ears. And when you mention your Lord in the Quran alone, fil Quran wahdahu, fil Quran wahdahu, wallahu ala adbarihim nufura, and they turn their backs in aversion. Before I drop this, any scholar in the world who can bring any burhan from God or sultan from God, where God commanded Muhammad to use something different other than the Quran to warn the people, to remind the people, to recite to the people, to read to the people, today, I'll stop being a Muslim. This is where I stop.